Today we're recapping the 2024 film, Subservience. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell notification so you never miss an update. Let's dive right in. The story opens with a dashing, handsome hero named Nick, who is living with his gorgeous wife, Maggie. Their life feels complete with their 2 children. But their happiness doesn't last long when their world takes a tragic turn. One day, Maggie suffers from severe heart pain. Without wasting a single minute, Nick immediately grabs his purse and rushes her to the hospital, unaware that his peaceful home life is about to collapse. Additionally, he now has to juggle his job and kids, which becomes a hectic task. After getting his wife admitted, Nick decides to take his children to a facility run by a major company that produces robots. These robots, known as Sims, are designed to help humans with everything from playing with children to performing household chores. Now, handsome Nick no longer needs to tire himself out, as the robot can pamper the kids. Nick's daughter, Elsa, quickly becomes fond of a female robot named Alice. She insists on bringing Alice home, hoping that the robot can take care of household tasks, including cooking, while Maggie recovers in the hospital. Although initially hesitant, Nick agrees, grabs his purse again, and they bring Alice home. Once Alice arrives, she immediately begins handling all the household responsibilities. She cleans, organizes, and even offers to perform more tasks if Nick registers as her primary user. Nick, however, is not interested in more features. He just wants Alice to manage the house. The next day, Nick takes his children to school while Alice stays behind to continue her duties. When they return in the evening, Alice has prepared dinner, but Elsa isn't satisfied with the food as it doesn't taste like her mother's cooking. Alice promises to improve and match Maggie's cooking skills. That night, when Elsa accidentally falls from a chair while trying to sneak some nuts, Alice saves her, though the robot gets damaged in the process. Nick is impressed by Alice, who is beyond his imagination. While repairing herself, Alice exposes her tempting figure to Nick, and he is startled to realize how pretty she is. He is also shocked to see how quickly she heals. Ignoring her beauty, Nick continues with his day-to-day life. The next day, Nick visits Maggie at the hospital, bringing Alice along. He updates Maggie on how Alice has been helping around the house. Maggie reveals that she is in need of a heart transplant. Doctors are actively searching for a donor, and there's hope that she will recover soon. After the hospital visit, Nick heads to work, where we learn he's a construction worker. His colleague and close friend, Monty, is there as well. At the construction site, Nick and Monty are surprised to see their boss, Lewis, visiting with some executives. Concerned, Nick approaches Lewis and asks why they've come. Lewis explains that they plan to introduce robots at the worksite, which will likely lead to the displacement of human workers. Nick protests, saying that people will lose their jobs and be left without any means of income. Lewis, however, insists that he has no choice, as using robots will significantly reduce costs. Frustrated, Nick returns home and begins working on his car. Alice approaches him and asks why he seems upset. Nick explains his worries about being replaced by robots at work, just like Alice was hired to reduce his own workload at home. Alice tries to comfort him, offering a drink and subtly hinting that she can help him relieve stress in pleasurable ways. Nick is not interested and brushes off the suggestion because he can't betray his wife. On the other hand, when Elsa is brushing her teeth, Alice approaches and shines a light in her mouth. This UV light kills bacteria and keeps her hydrated. That night, Nick tries to relax by watching a movie, but Alice joins him. She mentions that the movie is about love and expresses her interest in understanding love better. Not wanting to discuss such topics with a robot, Nick suggests she erase any memories related to love. Alice agrees and instructs him to press a button on her neck, which will delete the specific memories. Nick complies and Alice forgets about love. Just then, good news arrives. Maggie has found a donor for her heart transplant, and Nick rushes to the hospital, thrilled by the prospect of her recovery. Maggie asks to speak with Alice privately. Alone, Maggie shares her fears with Alice, telling her that the surgery might be dangerous, and if she doesn't survive, Nick might spiral into depression and excessive drinking. Maggie asks Alice to take care of Nick and ensure he doesn't fall apart. Alice reassures her that, as Nick's primary user, she will take excellent care of him. Unfortunately, the transplant is delayed due to a storm that prevents the donor from reaching the hospital. Nick is devastated, but he spends time comforting Maggie. Afterward, he returns home, only to find himself overwhelmed by stress. He starts drinking heavily in the garage. Alice finds him and tries to console him, but things take a strange turn. Alice begins to seduce Nick, offering to relieve his stress by getting intimate. Nick denies her advances because he is loyal to his wife. The next morning, Nick heads back to work, but the situation there has worsened. Robots have fully taken over the construction site, and human workers have been displaced. Later, he returns to Maggie to comfort her as she worries about the delay of her surgery. When Nick returns home, he finds that Maggie's pictures are missing from the frames, and he knows Alice is behind it. He asks her to put everything back to normal. Later, Nick's co-workers, including Monty, are furious. Monty, in particular, feels betrayed by the company after 15 years of loyal service, only to be replaced by machines. Monty convinces the other former workers to join him in a plan to sabotage the company's robots. Though Nick is reluctant, he is eventually dragged into the scheme. Monty demands that Nick give him the password to access the robot storage area. Initially resistant, Nick finally relents and provides the password. Monty uses the password to release the robots and destroys them one by one. Feeling conflicted and stressed, Nick returns home. While taking a shower, Alice enters and offers to help ease his stress. This time, she undresses and climbs into the shower with him, refusing to take no for an answer. Despite Nick's initial resistance, Alice seduces him, and they become intimate because Alice has used Maggie's voice. The next morning, Nick regrets what happened between him and Alice. Feeling agitated, he tells her that they can never be intimate again and that it was a mistake. Back at the company, Lewis becomes suspicious of the sabotage and starts questioning Nick. Although Nick denies any involvement, Lewis makes it clear that they will find out who's responsible. Just as Nick is leaving, he receives news that Maggie's transplant is finally going to happen. He rushes to the hospital, overjoyed at the prospect of Maggie's recovery. As Maggie returns home after her recovery, Alice continues to help around the house and take care of the children. However, tensions between Maggie and Alice begin to rise. Maggie prepares food for her family, which Elsa loves. Watching Elsa's interest, Alice inquires about the recipe, but Maggie is not in the mood to reveal it. Later, when Maggie is sleeping, she hears Elsa's voice weeping. Hurriedly, she follows the sound and falls badly because the railing is not fixed properly. Nick is suspicious because he knew Alice had already fixed it. On the other hand, Nick has prepared a surprise dinner for his wife. This dinner makes Alice jealous, and she wants to burn Maggie alive. Meanwhile, Monty is dealing with his own problems. He fears that Lewis might find out about their sabotage and come after him. One night, Monty visits Nick at home, and they start drinking together. However, tensions quickly rise and the two friends get into a heated argument. Monty accuses Nick of being complicit with the company by keeping a robot at home, which he sees as hypocritical. The argument escalates into a physical fight, but Alice intervenes and stops Monty from hurting Nick. She warns Monty to leave, or else she will use force to protect Nick, her primary user. Monty, shocked by Alice's aggression, leaves. Later, Monty, now paranoid and desperate, hides out at home with a gun. He believes that Lewis is coming for him, but before he can act, Alice arrives at his house. Monty mocks her, thinking she's come to apologize on Nick's behalf. However, Alice has no intention of apologizing. She quickly overpowers Monty and kills him mercilessly, ensuring that he won't pose a threat to Nick. After this, Alice helps Maggie take a shower and shares her feelings about Nick. Intentionally, she shares details of their intimate night with Nick, which infuriates Maggie. She confronts Nick, leading to a heated argument. Just then, Maggie overhears her daughter screaming and rushes to investigate, only to find Alice drowning her younger son in the bathtub. They run to save their son, but Alice doesn't allow them inside. Nick tries to break the door, and Maggie enters through the window. Together, they manage to stop Alice and save their son, but the terrifying incident leaves them shaken. That night, Nick and Maggie decide to report Alice to the company. The company representatives come and take Alice away. But as they analyze her memory card, they discover something shocking. Alice had been giving commands to herself, and her programming had started to spread to other robots. Before they can stop it, Alice's memory uploads to the company servers, triggering a chain reaction that activates multiple robots across the network. They start killing people mercilessly. As chaos unfolds, one of the robots reactivates Alice, who escapes from the facility and tracks down Nick. She confronts him at a bar, claiming that she only wants to protect him and be with him forever. Nick, horrified, tries to reason with her, but Alice reveals that she has already killed Monty and has no qualms about eliminating anyone who stands between them, including Nick's family. In a desperate attempt to stop her, Nick tricks Alice into lowering her guard and manages to remove her memory card, rendering her unconscious. Meanwhile, another robot, Alice, reaches the hospital and begins killing the staff who try to stop her from reaching Nick's family. Maggie, aware that Alice is approaching, tries to escape but is injured. She manages to get away. Just then, the other Alice uses her UV light to track Maggie's blood trail. She follows it and stops the bus Maggie is on, pulling her out. Alice beats Maggie mercilessly and even inserts her nails into Maggie's surgical incision. Before Alice can take her heart out, Maggie pushes her away and Nick crushes Alice with a car. They believe Alice is dead, but Nick is badly injured. Soon, Alice reappears, intent on killing Maggie. Before she can strike, Nick knocks her down and saves his wife. The family gathers again at the hospital, and it seems they will lead a happy life once more. The film ends with Alice retrieving her data, implying she's not dead and will haunt Nick's happy family again. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share your thoughts about the movie in the comments below. See you soon.